Okay, so I need to find a step, because right now there is a very precarious, dangerous way of getting into the house, which is walking over these like blocks and bits of wood that I've piled up. I had an idea. The old caravan, the one that the roof blew off of, had an old set of concrete steps. So we're going to try and salvage it, or at least, well, the key word there being try. Oh, that's good. I thought that bit was solid in there. So these are 3 pallets of bricks that we found at an old shed over at the old harbour over there. So what I'm going to do is, if I take all the bricks off of this pallet, I'll take the pallets down in the trailer, and then we'll load the steps onto there. And then we can come down with the telehandler, pick up the pallet and take it up here. It's a bit of a convoluted process. Okay, so bricks moved. Pallet in the trailer. Doesn't this fit so perfectly? I never realised that. This pallet is staying here. It's always satisfying when you get a good fit like that. Right, now I take this down to there. Well, it's all come out as one piece, so hopefully now we just get a telehandler up, take this up, good to go. Let's slide back. Okay, so we have our 3 blocks. It was almost fully assembled, but it fell apart as I was taking it up in the telehandler, which was a little bit scary. But it's now sitting outside the doorway, and what we'll do is we'll just try and slide each of the parts over. I think we'll only need 2 of them, to be honest. I don't think we'll need the top stuff. But yeah. Okay. Delivery day here on Massey, always exciting when new stuff arrives. I don't think the postmen probably like me very much at the moment, but right now I'm in the midst of insulating. Last video you would have seen me putting all of the quilt rock wool stuff up and into the cavities, 140 mil of rock wool into the exterior walls. That's all done. There's a few wee bits and pieces still that I need to do, like little corners, and make sure that all the sections are evenly filled. However, up in the ceiling, above me here in the living room, this is the big vaulted ceiling, we have rafters which are going to be filled with rigid insulation only. So, well, let me point the camera up. Yeah, so up here in the roof, we have just rigid insulation, which will get pushed into all of these spaces. But it's just going to be held in by making sure that you've got a really tight cut and squeezing it between each of the rafters. And obviously, cutting gigantic lengths of 150 mil deep insulation, I'm a bit worried that I'm going to get wavy lines, or that I'm not going to get super tight fitting sections up there. So what I ordered is Gapo tape, and I just realized I'm gonna have to climb all the way down. Okay, but remember this, okay? The deep rafters. Yeah, so what I've ordered is this stuff, Gapo tape. And how it works is you've got a sticky side here that you stick onto the edge of the insulation. So it's 150 mil insulation that's going on up there. So you put that on the edge. And what it has, as you can see here, is a little bit of like insulation, like memory foam insulation. And that way you can squeeze it into the space and it'll fill out the space a little bit more. Now, the recommendation obviously from Gapo tape is to do it on all sides of all of the insulation for all of the rafters. But I ordered 3 of these rolls here, And I think this cost me like £100. So I would dread to think how much money it would cost to order enough length to cover all of the insulation on either side of the rafters. So my plan is to save this in case I do a miscut or the fit isn't quite tight enough and I need something that can just let me get it a slightly tighter fit as I push it into the rafters up there. So that's not happening right now, but I wanted to get this stuff on site so that I had it handy because obviously, you know, you've got 2 to 3 days ordering stuff for it to turn up here. I want to make sure I have it on hand. Then the other stuff I ordered is this stuff here. Don't know if you can see that. That is Illbruck Pro Foam. Fills gaps and fixes frames. This is just expanding foam. But I was hoping to use this for any gaps around the wall cavities as I put the rigid insulation up. But I also thought I could use this for joining the underfloor insulation to the wall insulation. And let me tell you or explain to you what I mean by that. Okay, so we're in the living room area. Here's the exterior wall with the quilt in it. Here is the concrete pad, and underneath this concrete pad is the pipes for the underfloor heating, which are connected to 150 mil of rigid insulation, the same kind of stuff that's going up there in the ceiling. Now, running around the edge of that, like a bath holding it all in, is 50 mil of rigid insulation. And you can actually see it here. See if I scrape back. You can see this here is insulation. See that? So there's your concrete, 50 mil of insulation, and then you can see here, that's the wall plate. That is the wood that the frame attaches to. Now, this rigid insulation here, the 50 mil, is designed to basically come in contact with the rigid insulation that will fit to the exterior walls. So obviously, to create a well-insulated house, as far as my understanding goes, we've got to make sure that all the elements of the insulation are working together and that there's no obvious gaps between them. So I want to make sure that this connection between the rigid insulation in the floor and the rigid insulation that is going to be sitting on top of it is nice and solid, because obviously this insulation is all uneven because it's got little chips and cracks and stuff like that, and the little bits of concrete on top of it. So I'm going to strip all the concrete back, and then I'm going to use that expanding foam, or my plan was to use that expanding foam to create a nice glue, basically, that will create a nice bridge between them so that there's going to be no air gaps between the two bits sitting on top of each other. This is also another place where you could have used the Gapo tape, because you could have used 50 mil Gapo tape running along the bottom edge of the insulation, and that kind of would have evened out all of the bumps running across the concrete because of that memory foam, insulation foam along the tape. I'm just realizing that now as I'm saying it out loud, but it would have cost an absolute fortune to get the Gapo tape. So I'm going to try using the expanding foam. I think a lot of guys, if they were fitting this insulation, a lot of builders probably wouldn't do anything. They would have just plonked the insulation on top. But to me, this bit at the bottom here is really important to create that seal, because obviously this is where all your heat's coming up from the floor. You don't want it to be compromised kind of right down here at the very bottom. It's how I'm thinking. I don't know what I'm doing. So I'm going to go around now and clean these entire edges, which might take a wee while. But yeah, right. Start doing that. I'm trying to do this insulation working from this corner round, because this corner here is actually protected by the porch and it's on the side that doesn't get hit by the wind as much. So I'm like, as I work my way around the house and we work to the areas where the wind is buffeting more and I feel like more cold air is coming in, I'm hopefully going to get better and better at doing the insulation. That's kind of been my tactic as I've done this. Daisy, get out the way. incredibly rainy out there, which has been a lovely accompaniment to doing the work in here. I think it sounds really, really nice when you've got the sound of the rain hitting the metal roof. You're probably not going to hear much of that once we get the plasterboard and the insulation up in the loft and stuff, but I think it sounds really nice. This, well, as you can see, pretty much all done behind us there. I had penciled in a week to do this, so I've done all the bedrooms, as you can see here, the kind of bedroom area, and you might be able to spot I've done the porch in there as well too. But first week was going really well. Then I got unbelievably sick because I picked up a bug from my baby, the joys of being a father. Then I got some sort of eye thing, like a sty, and my eye swelled up. I couldn't really work, and I was sick at the same time. And now I've got a little bit of a cold, which you might be able to hear in my voice. So this is taking a lot longer than I expected. It's been about 2.5 weeks roughly between doing this and obviously doing work and stuff like that, doing this in the evenings. But we are pretty much there. Let me just flip the camera here. So yeah, here we go. This is the bedrooms now with the 50mm of rigid insulation on top of the frame. And you can see the final pieces that I'm just doing here. I recorded quite a big chunk of it, as you might have seen, but a lot of it I've done off camera, again, mainly because I've been sick and coming up here in the evening and struggling away, and it's not exactly the kind of thing that made for the greatest footage in the world. Basically, what I was doing, I was putting the big sheets up against the wall here, and they're just fit in place. They're not screwed or nailed or glued in or anything. I did use a little bit of glue around the edges just to kind of hold it in place, to kind of like tack it in place so that it wouldn't fall away. But most of it is just fit by being quite careful and making sure it's nice and tight. One thing I did do, you can see it along here, is that I sprayed the insulating foam under here like a little bit of a glue, and then sandwiched this down on top. But you have to be quite careful doing that, because what you don't want is the insulation being pushed out from the wall as the expanding foam expands. And the very first sheet that I put up, this one, I actually made that mistake. And you can see here, I mean, it's not that drastic, but you can see here there's a gap behind it. It'll probably be fine because when we put the batten down, that'll push it tight against the wall, but it might make the plasterboard a little bit wobbly when we get to the final layer. So what I did for all of these, if I did put some expanding foam behind it just to kind of like bridge the gap, I made sure to put some bricks against it to keep it nice and tight up against the wall and tight down to the ground. But yeah, looking pretty good. The only thing is, these, I forget exactly how tall these are. They're a standard size, like a ceiling height size, but there's just a gap up there at the top. Now, what's going to happen is this insulation will just roll over and sort of meet it. But what I'm using is offcuts, as you can see here, just to kind of raise the height of the insulation ever so slightly. And I'm going to do that all the way around, because when I do put a horizontal batten across the bottom and a horizontal batten across the top, I want it to actually have some insulation behind it, and it wouldn't if I left that little gap clear. But yeah, I think that's about it. One thing which I included in this video was us getting the steps up. Remember, I brought the steps up from the old caravan and we dumped it here. Well, when I was away, my dad built the step. So we came up. Leonie and the baby had gone off to see family in Germany, and they flew off, and I went to get them from the airport, hence picking up a horrendous bug. And I got back, and Dad had made this lovely step. Put them to one side here to give us space here. Here are your pipes for the bathroom and stuff like that. Now, eventually, and actually as part of the planning process in Scotland, you need an accessible wheelchair-friendly entrance, and that's this one. So how this is going to be in the future, the finished configuration is this will be decking, and there'll be a nice slope that runs off that way that is to be a certain grade for wheelchairs and the like. But for the moment, this works perfectly, and now you can walk in here quite nicely. Here is the porch, also now insulated and all buttoned up and looking quite nice. We need to tidy up around the edges here where the expanding foam's bleeded out slightly. And then, oh, well, these actually. These are some sample tiles that we got for this room. So yeah, I think these look really good. Oh, look at that timing. And here comes Leonie and baby with tea.
Hi.
Well, on that note, see you guys next time. Bye.